Have you ever been in a relationship where your psycho partner just won't allow you to have a moment's peace? That's how Molly McLaren felt when she started dating a guy from Tinder. She had no idea how a right swipe could lead to her being stabbed multiple times. Stick around till the end because this story shows the incompetence and carelessness of the police, who could have easily prevented this heinous crime scene. Molly McLaren was a beautiful young woman with a kind heart who wouldn't hurt a fly. She lived in Kent Country, UK. At the age of 23, she was doing great in college, getting good grades, and had no time to get involved with men. After being forced by her friends, she finally joined Tinder, which started a chain of events that would ultimately take her life. Molly swiped right on a guy named Joshua Stimpson. Joshua grew up in Stoke-on-Trent, but had moved to Medway after finishing secondary school. Former colleagues at his workplace described two completely different sides to the killer at his trial. One, a charming bright man who stood out by a mile when he applied for a job as a double-glazing salesman. The other, a depressed, irrational loner who couldn't engage in conversation. Stimpson was often in a distressed and agitated state, crying and failing to turn up for work. He also confided that he had been having thoughts of doing something stupid. Stimpson then revealed for the first time he suffered from bipolar, saying it just took over him while he was on holiday. It was 2013 when police first became aware of Joshua Stimpson's aggressive behavior towards women when he was 21 years old. Police were notified by the mother of a girl who had only been out with Stimpson on one date in Staffordshire, where he was living at the time. He was threatening a girl named Alexandra Deo and harassing her via text messages for months, while the mom's car tires had also been slashed, and she was convinced the abuse and vandalism were connected. A police officer sent Stimpson a text and a voicemail message telling him to stop. No further reports were made to the police. It transpired that Stimpson had later messaged the girl while she was on that holiday in July 2013 saying, "I'm going to fly out and drown you." He also said, "If you ever touch my family, I'll stab you," despite the girl never having met or mentioned his family. In May 2016 in Kent, Stimpson harassed a different woman with whom he had a brief relationship. He stopped when she told him if he came to her flat again, she would report him to the police. She did not hear from Stimpson again, and the harassment was not reported to the police or any other agency. Despite his persistent threatenings and abusive harassment being reported several times, somehow he still reigned free 4 years later. It wasn't until November 2016 that Molly and Stimpson met in person, 4 months after they had matched with each other on the dating app Tinder and got chatting. Their relationship seemed to begin well, but quickly deteriorated, and they went on a trip to Tenerife together in May of 2017 for what was a make-or-break move. Several photos of them together were posted online during those 7 months. Joshua Stimpson's relationship with Molly was based on a lie, and to keep the relationship alive, he resorted to more lies. When Joshua met Molly, he convinced her that he'd never dated before. Molly's cousin Joanne said Molly felt a bit sorry for him, and he was a bit lonely. He seemed to be not just looking for love, but to be wanted by someone. After Molly dumped Joshua for his obsessive behavior, he faked having bipolar so Molly could stay with him. Molly had genuine mental health issues, and she saw a kindred spirit in Stimpson. According to her father Doug, they thought maybe they could help each other, but help was never what Stimpson wanted. Then he started harassing her. Stimpson created posts claiming Molly was a drug addict who used cocaine and tagged her parents in them. The abuse carried on for days, and Molly was becoming increasingly scared. So with the encouragement of her parents, she decided to go to the police. Police didn't have any track record of him, so they just asked the family to block him from social media. After Molly dumped him and blocked him, Joshua used an unsuspecting acquaintance to help him stalk her. That way, he knew Molly's location every time she updated her social media. On June 22nd, Molly and her mother again handed the police a file documenting Stimpson's harassment. The police called Stimpson to issue a warning about his behavior. Molly's mother will never forget the warning Stimpson gave. She said,
And he just kept repeating, I've done nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong. And if you think I have, there's more to come. And those words still haunt me now.
Molly had reported him to the police 3 times in total. However, the fact that the police did nothing to prevent him from approaching her is very peculiar. There really was more to come, and it happened just 5 days after the last warning. A chilling CCTV shows Molly approach him before sending a terrified text to her friend Amy, telling her he was there, and another to her mom saying, "Mom, he's turned up at the gym and comes next to me." She then called her mother, who told her to come straight home but to drive safely. It was the last time she ever spoke to her daughter. Molly abandoned her workout and waited until she had seen Stimpson leave before making her way to her car. She sent another text to Amy, the last words she would ever send, saying, "I feel like I'm looking over my shoulder all the time." Once she was in the driver's seat, Stimpson abandoned his vehicle, yanked open her door, and launched a violent flurry of knife blows. Molly tried to fight him off, screaming and beeping her horn, but after being stabbed 75 times, she died within minutes. Another video shows Stimpson in a blood-soaked gym vest moments after he stabbed Molly. A passerby desperately tried to save the 23-year-old by pulling Stimpson out of the car and slamming the door on him, but his legs were so slick with the victim's blood, the Good Samaritan couldn't get a hold of him. Devastatingly, the public nature of the attack meant news quickly spread about what had happened on social media, and Molly's friends and family discovered the horrifying truth about her murder before the police could reach them. Police swiftly arrested Joshua after the murder, and the Crown put him on trial. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter, with diminished responsibility resulting from a mental illness. The prosecution sought to prove that Joshua was a sadistic murderer with a history of harassing ex-girlfriends. Alexandra Dale, the first ex-girlfriend, was there at his trial, and that's when the truth came out. His other ex-girlfriends had also reported feeling threatened by him. Dale stated that he'd stalked her, sent her threatening messages, and slashed the tires on her mother's car. Dale reported the slashing incident to the police, but they didn't record it in a crime due to lack of evidence. Staffordshire police have since changed their policies and are required to report stalking as a crime, even if the victims don't wish to pursue the matter. It took the jury less than 4 hours to find Joshua guilty of murder. Specialists at the trial found that Joshua had no signs of bipolar disorder. Judge Adele Williams sentenced Joshua to life in prison with a possibility of parole in 26 years. She said, "This was a cruel, calculated, and cowardly act. This was an act of wickedness. You took away Molly's life quite deliberately in the most vicious fashion. You were determined to punish her for ending the relationship with you. Her family's grief and anguish is raw and apparent for everyone to see. Stimpson may still be alive when he completes 26 years of his sentence, but it is unlikely that he will earn parole." The judge added, "You are a highly dangerous young man, and you will pose a very considerable risk to young women for a very considerable period in the future," Judge Williams added. Had police's investigation been up to the required standards, Molly might have still been alive today. A Staffordshire police spokesman accepted their fault, but it was too late. It has been years since the saddening incident, but the family still hasn't been able to move on from it, and they might never will. We just hope Joshua Stimpson never gets out of prison. He'd be a threat to society if he does. That's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do you think the murder could have been prevented if the police had taken action before? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and also share the video with your friends. Make sure to subscribe to this channel for your regular dose of whodunits. Stay safe, stay warm, and don't get any crazy ideas.